Batwing number 20, written by Justin Gray and Jimmy Palmiotti, art by Eduardo Pansica and Julio Ferreira. So, we got a new Batwing. As teased last issue, David Zavimbe has abdicated the title, and Batman immediately turned around and was like, hey, I actually always wanted to give it to Luke Fox. So, this issue picks up, still in Africa. He's still sent to Africa for some reason, and he's beating up a group of ant-based gun runners, I guess, called the Marabunta. And he's jumping around and he's outnumbered like crazy. And basically it's just an opening page of Luke laying out the land of it. And he's like, yeah, no, you sent me in here to fight all these illegal firearms and whatnot of these Marabunta soldiers or fanatical blah, blah, blahs. And Batman's like, you talk a lot, man. Like, I'm over the comms here to help you out on your first couple missions, but like, can we just focus on the fighting? And he's like, okay, well, maybe because I'm massively outnumbered, you should send me a care package. And he's like, fine, whatever, if you really think you need one. So at that point, not the leader of the Marabunta, but a higher up soldier named Lady Marabunta shows up in a giant ant mech suit. And he's like, how far out is that care package? And Batman tells him 20 seconds, try not to die. And he's like, oh, try not to die. I didn't read that rule in the official Batman Incorporated handbook. He's like, oh, well, there's plenty of rules that are not in there. For instance, always pay attention as Luke gets like caught up in an explosion that's blowing up a nearby plane. And so he just hides out in the rafters for a while until the thing that Batman's sending shows up. And it turns out it is a colony of vapor bats, which seem to be robotic. Maybe this was a thing. I don't know. Regardless, it manages to spread out some gas that chokes out the Marabunta enough that Luke can take her captive and get some information from her. So he drives off, and then Batman's like, oh, good job. We'll reconvene in 200 hours or whatever. And he talks to Alfred, and Alfred's like, hey, just for people who didn't read the last issue, here's what happened to the old Batwing. And also, are you sure that you should be like giving him this like much one-on-one time with you, because you're kind of babying him? And he's like, nah, he's new, I have to do this. And basically they just keep laying down the fact of, no, I wanted him as the original Batwing, but Lucius can never find out about that because it's not a cool thing, and B, he also has some like personality quirks and he doesn't do so well with like authority. So kind of a thing we need to work on. So anyway, we see somewhere deep in the city, he's taken this woman, Lady Marabunta, to be interrogated. He used some scarecrow fear toxin to enhance the interrogations. And she's not fazed. Like, she's scared, but she's just like, I can tell by your voice you're like 20-something and you're from America. Probably like a rich family considering that suit. And he's like, well, yes, but also let me tell you my origin. And I don't think he's telling it to her, but to us, we see him basically telling his dad, hey, I want to take a year off from college and whatnot, from job hunting, in order to just see the world. And Lucius is like, no, you got to work for it. Like, you think that I got all this just by being lazy and seeing the world? And Luke is only saying this because Batman came to him and said, hey, please be Nightwing, or Batwing. And he just needs a cover story for him to be able to disappear for a year. And Lucius is like, no, I can't believe you would throw your life away. And he's like, I'm not throwing my... You do understand I'm still super smart and super strong. Like, I'm going to have those job offers when I get back. Why don't you trust me, Dad? And he's like, oh, I do trust you. I just think you're stupid. And so Luke storms out and he's like, look, regardless of what you say, I'm doing this. I just hope to have your blessing. So at that point, the interrogation continues, and she's like, okay, fine, I'll tell you all the Marabunta stuff, but they're going to remember you, Batwing, and they're going to come for you. And he's like, yeah, I'm counting on it. So then I just have to throw this in. We throw in one little panel here of him talking to Batman when Batman's like, hey, you want to join up in Batman Incorporated? And he's like, where are you sending me? Oh, to Africa. Why? Because I'm the black guy? And Batman has the creepiest smile, and he just says, that's funny. So apparently the whole way Marabunta get their funding is through an illegal, secretive diamond mine. So Batwing just goes in, scares all the workers, gasses them, and he sees in the middle of this diamond mine is a palace. And he's like, okay, I knew there was a warlord here, but the fact that he has an actual palace in this diamond mine seems like way over the top. Palace doors open, there's a bunch of lions that jump out. He specifically says he's not killing the lions. That's not his place, but he is tranking them and taking them out. So they're all down. Then we see 3 African women come out with full, like, Black Panther-esque fighting gear, and a dude who is best way I can describe it is a centaur, but it's lion parts. So his bottom half is like mostly a lion, and then his top half is just the furry version of a lion. So anyway, all the women start fighting Batwing. He manages to get the upper hand on him, showing off his fighting skills and whatnot. But then immediately this big guy named Lion Mane shows up, and he's like, oh, I am king of the beast. I was chosen by the gods to rule these people. And he starts beating the crap out of Batwing, going deep into one of the caves inside this diamond mine. And he's like, oh, I'm not able to claw my way through your armor, so I'll just mash you to bits inside of it. And he starts just pounding on Batwing, and final page is a cliffhanger of him being held up by his neck as Lion Mane roars. Gotta say, it's a stupid looking villain, but he is menacing at the very least. So, of course they're not going to kill Batwing. Like they put at the end of this, they're like, oh, is this over before it even begins? I'm like, yeah, no, I'm sure. It's not the rest of this trade is for. But, like, I'm okay with it. You know, these books are always going to have a, oh no, what's going to happen next time? I do hope that they don't make it a Deus Ex Machina. You know what I mean? Where like, oh, actually I was just luring him deep into this cave so I could press this button on my arm and then I win immediately. I hope they actually take the time to let Luke earn this. And that's the thing, is that I get that he's smart. I get that he's strong. And I appreciate the fact that he's the hero of the story, so he does have to come out on top. But I want to feel, especially because he's just starting fresh, the process of him losing some, him learning something, and him coming back stronger next time. And I feel like this first issue has just been a bit too successful, where he's just gotten win after win after win. If they're setting it up for, okay, a bunch of wins and then he suffers a major loss because he gets cocky, I'd also be good with that. But I just don't want this to be like the golden child sort of thing, where he is just unable to fail throughout the entire time. I want to see, like in the last Batwing book, like David Zavimbe failed numerous times, but he kept learning and getting better. I want to see that for Luke. I want to see that story arc. I think the things with the dad are okay. With Lucius, it's fine, but if they don't focus on that, I'm not going to be hard pressed on it. So overall, for an intro to this particular character, I'm going to give this one I'll give it a 7.5. I like the voices, except for Batman. Batman sounds off, but I mean, it's a Batwing book. As long as you got the voice for him right, I'm interested. I'm looking forward to seeing more. So 7.5.